So first of all, congratulations for your offer, right? I heard that you have got offer from UCL and also you got the nice position, which is valedictorian
Yeah.
of the year as well. Yeah, how do you feel about that?
I don't know, for me, like, all this kind of unfolded in the last year or so. Like, year 12 was pretty much, just study, get, like, stuff
Right.
done. And then year 13 came, and, like, there was, like, obviously university offers go in, and then a couple months after, you get the university decisions. So some good, some bad, but I do remember when I got into UCL, I was really excited because it was actually the first school I got an offer from.
Right.
And, like, I think at that moment, like, when I got the UCL offer, I was, like, something in my mind was, like, yeah, I'd probably see myself there. Because when I was applying, like, one of the only schools like I was really thinking about was like the whole culture and like the whole like when you think of university, you don't only want to go for academics, you want to go for the whole like experience. You want to go for like
because
the
I
social
know
life
that many
and all that.
people like go party on every like Friday nights when they go to university.
When I was talking to some like alumni from UCL, they said that like they party a lot more than like Imperial kids. Like Imperial, and I was like oh, like how much more? They're like, oh, we go like maybe like 3-4 times a week, and I was like, wow, that's a lot. And then I asked the Imperial kids because one of my dad's like colleagues, he came from Imperial, and I was asking him like, so how many times when you were there, like how many times did people go out and party and stuff? And he's like, well, like not as much as the UCL kids, but 2 to 3 times. So I was like, wow, that's still a lot. Like everyone just ends up going out a lot over there. But yeah.
Right, and that's why you are happy with UCL more than getting
but
Imperial.
it's not. I was a bit like hurt about Imperial, obviously, but I mean, everything happens for a reason, I think after working 2 years in the IB, like in a very rigorous program, I'm not to say that UCL isn't going to be like very hard. I looked at the modules; it looks pretty hard for math. But I'm looking forward to like some of the fun times also over there. So whether that's parties, social life, football games, whatever that is. So
Yeah. And what do you think about like the journey through the IB? Do you study a lot, or how is your daily life in IB is like?
See, I think it differs a lot per person, but for me personally, in year 12, it was very like I was new to it, right? So I wasn't very sure as to how to navigate this place. I remember our teacher, our head of year, gave us this like analogy where it's like the IB is like a roller coaster. So, you have your ups, you have your ups, you have your downs, but I remember like for the first 6 months of the IB, maybe like from August to like maybe February, March, I remember saying that, wow, like this isn't as bad, right? I think I kind of jinxed myself because after that everything just went downhill because year 12 we had mocks, year 12 we had final exams, and then year 13 started. But I would say in terms of like study habits at least, my study habits in year 12 really set myself up for success in year 13 because in year 12 I sort of built that foundation where it was like not to study like too much every day, but also like it's like I truly believe like when it comes to studying, it's not about how much you study, it's more about what you study. And like whether that's like, oh, I just came out of like chemistry today and there's a topic I was finding hard, let me go over it at home. I feel like that's more effective than going through like a whole problem set, like and like look at past papers and stuff like when I still don't understand a concept. So I think for me it was more about solidifying my concepts on the day that I learned them, so that I never had an issue with them again. But there's not, obviously like stuff did get harder eventually, but yeah.
Right. So it's more important to focus on understanding the concept first.
I mean, it depends on the subject. Like math, for example, math is practice, right? And that's one of the things I like about math. Like, I know that sounds really nerdy, but I like the idea of like, just like using the same skills but in different settings.
Right.
But chemistry or physics, for example, maybe physics is more like math in that sense, but chemistry is more like you got to understand the concept, and if you understand the concept, there's basically no question you can't solve for chemistry.
That's true. So it depends on the subject.
It does, and I think studying really like hard for subjects where you shouldn't be like, when people get like they get this like sense of gratification where like, oh, like I'm really good at like math or I'm really good at chemistry, let me only study math and chemistry. I think that's the most like detrimental thing you can do, because the IB, like at the end of the day, is like it's 6 subjects, right? It's 6 subjects where you base your time
TOK,
EE, and like all that stuff. Like you can't just focus your time on like one subject. Like I know like some of my friends like they would admit it also, like they spent far too much time on certain subjects, and they were really good at those subjects. Like they were pretty good at those classes, whether that's physics or chemistry, but most of the time just goes into physics and chemistry to try to like, that sense of gratification you get by solving questions correctly and stuff like that. But yeah, I would say honestly splitting your time evenly and using your time wisely, not just like spamming past papers, but rather like actually knowing what you need to do. Study smart, not hard, basically.
I think time management is the key as well.
Yeah,
to the
I'm a
IB.
terrible example for time management at least, because like as easy as it is to say that, like, you know, I studied hard and like I did all this, my sleep schedule was terrible. My, like, in class I was probably not focusing on stuff that I should have been focusing on. Like, time management was something that I was
Right.
very like pressed. I was really like annoyed about at the end of the IB. I was like, wow, like 2 years done, like this could have been a lot easier if I just managed my time a little better. You know what I mean?
Right. And how was your grade like overall? Was it like up and down, or
For
it was
the
like
IB?
7 and 6 throughout? For overall.
Honestly, I
for
think the
almost all
lowest
subjects.
the lowest overall I got ended up being like my final. But I mean, that is normal, you know, like
Oh
it's
yeah, that's true.
it's very hard to. I mean, there are people who like obviously get higher than
Higher.
they predicted, and that's very commendable. Like I really like think that's really impressive.
Right.
But the norm is, and I unfortunately fell to the norm is that after you're predicted is like say 44, 45, like you always drop 2 or
Drop.
3 points, and that happened to me also. So it was also a bit like surprising because for example, for me, for geography, it's my SL. I'd
Right.
consistently gotten like 7s from year.
Ah.
I don't think I got a single 6 in geography
Right,
from
right.
year 12 to year 13, but my final grade came back as a 6.
Oh.
And not only like a 6, it was like a very low 6. So I was maybe
Oh.
like 2 points away from a 5. So I was like, wow. And
So
I
you
got it.
can't remark as well.
I got it remarked. I
Oh,
was
really?
like, you know what, like we only live
Just
once,
try.
so I remarked it and it came back maybe 4 marks away from a 7. So it wasn't bad, but
Oh, it went up.
it went up by a
Oh,
lot,
okay.
like maybe 8 points. And I remember I asked my head of year what the reason was, and apparently it was that our IAs were really badly marked, or it was badly moderated by the IB. So
Right.
we all like dropped a lot of points in geography. So that was probably my biggest failure in a sense.
Right.
But I would, to answer your question, I do think that like from 12 to 13, I was able to maybe maintain that 6-7 level.
Right.
I don't remember seeing the
5 or 6. 5 or 4.
I don't remember, maybe for like 1 or 2 math tests where it was like, you know, paper 3s, like where it was really hard, but that was when
Right.
things didn't really matter, right? Like,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
when it came to predicteds, like for year 13's
13.
beginning, like that meant you had to really lock in year 12 and like really make sure you had everything down. So year 12 was probably like a lot better for me than year 13 was, but
Right.
it's normal. Like everyone does end up dropping points in the end, but maybe I'm like coping with this, but from everyone that I've heard of, or like, from most people that I've heard about, like you do drop from your predicted, and
I think that is kind of like pushing pressure on your junior because the
Yeah.
teacher will pull up the boundary
I know that
maybe this year.
my sister's in the year below, right? And I think the only thing that we hear from I go back to school, like I've been like maybe 2 or 3 times
Right,
since I graduated, and I went back, so I talked to like my old teachers or like my coordinator, and she'd be saying stuff like, yeah, you guys set like a really high boundary. Like I think as a cohort, and that speaks a lot about like everyone's, like the teachers, students, like everyone's effort, like for the last 2 years, like my cohort did the best in like probably any year in NIST. I'm not sure about that, but it's easily the top 3 years in all of NIST. And that's not only because of like how hard the students like studied, but it was also, I think it's because of how they studied, not how hard they studied. And this sounds really mean, but when I was in year 13, I'd look at like the year below, and they'd be studying so hard, but we just hear the same thing from teachers on how they weren't like, you know, studying the right things.
Okay. And do you also party a lot? Because some people right ask me whether like you guys party a lot because they heard that you guys party a lot and you guys actually get very good grade. How did you do that? Oh, actually you didn't go partying.
I do think like, you know, when I told you that year 12 was like I found it really easy for the first 6 months, I think part of that would have been that every week, like as a group, like as a friend group, or like as a
Right,
year,
right,
like
right.
we would all like go out, whether that's like playing football on the weekends or going out doing other things, like
Right.
it's I do think as a cohort we studied a lot, we partied a lot more
Right.
than other cohorts have, because like now we go out, right, and we're like thinking like, oh, you know, when we go out we'll see like all the year 13s now or the year 12s now, but no one really parties. So we were like, wow, like for how much we went out or how much we were occupied on the weekend with different activities, we actually did very well for as a cohort. So it was really impressive to see. And I do think like some of the students are also like, well, like how'd that happen? Because I know teachers also slowly found out that we'd be going out a lot, and they'd be like yeah, something doesn't add up, you know, like these students go out too much but they're getting good grades, so who knows.
That's nice. And also let's talk about the AP exam that you take besides the IB score, right? And how many IB subjects did you actually took?
So I took obviously the 6 IB subjects and like TOK, EE and stuff, but then,
and then
APs,
AP.
I did those in year 12 off like a whim, if I'm being honest. I took AP Calculus and AP Physics. AP Physics just didn't go as well. I wasn't
Right.
as strong as Physics, and then after that, I kind of realized I had to pick my, like, pull my socks up and, like, actually lock in, because Physics
Right.
for AP is a lot easier than it is for IB.
Mm.
Or that's what I thought, at least. And I think that was the turning point for me, for Physics at least.
Mm-hmm.
But I self-studied calculus here up there,
Yeah.
and I came with Kosei, and we studied calculus together.
Like 5 days before the exam.
5 days before the exams. I got this book that I did some research on. It was a good book. It basically gave me the concepts, but then, like, the questions and past papers we all did together.
Yeah.
And I mean, I
so
ended up
at
getting
least we know all the point that we need
Exactly,
to get
exactly,
thick before we take the
And
exam.
now, in retrospect, I think I should have taken BC. I took AB.
Oh
But
yeah.
BC, after I took the exam, like, obviously when I'm looking at scores and all that, like, online, Reddit, Twitter and stuff, everyone said that obviously BC is a lot easier, because BC is actually, most of the content in BC is AB content, right? So if you get all the AB questions right in BC, maybe you have to get, like, 1 or 2 BC questions right, and it's a 5. So I mean, I ended up getting a 5 in AB, AB, yeah, but I think I should have taken maybe BC, because
Yeah.
they don't let you take both
BC.
together.
Oh, okay. Yeah, BC is kind of like harder.
It is, but it's content-wise harder, right?
Yeah,
Because, like, they learn it for a whole
content-wise
year
it's
in the U.S. and, like, it's a U.S. course, right? So they learn it like a lot more content in that year, but also because it's like a development on AB, but also the content in the actual exam is mostly just AB content. Which, if you get most of that right, you're on the good.
You
on
look
a good path
smarter
to
with
get.
AB. Yeah, that's true. But do you think taking AP is helpful, or it just okay?
See, for me, when I signed up for it, I was under the impression that, the more you do, the better. But obviously, the whole, like, cliche phrase of, like, it's quality, not quantity. Like, you shouldn't be doing too much, and you should be doing the right things. So in year 12, before application season began for the UK, there was this session that they held at a hotel from some university reps, and they came in, and one of their questions, someone else behind me asked the question, like, do you think it's worth taking APs along with IB? And, like, I was like, wow, like, that was a question that really applies to me also. And they actually said, for the UK at least, they said, well, no, because in the UK they just want to see your academics to what you're doing right now, right? They don't want you to do, like, extra academics in that sense. And the university rep sort of said it gets, like, convoluted, like, you get too much going on, and they just want to see your, like, if you're doing the IB, they just want to see your IB score. If you're doing A levels, they just want to see your A levels predicted. And so I was kind of thrown off by that, and that kind of led me to not submit my APs to the UK on my UCAS, but for the
But
US
actually, you
applications,
can also submit the AP score into UCAS.
you can, but when she said all that, I was just thinking about it for, like, a couple days, because applications would probably due maybe a week after that session. So I was like, oh, it's not really worth, risking and taking a gamble. Plus, it wasn't like some really insanely hard course. It was on par with IB Math. In fact, IB Math looks a lot better than AP Calculus AB. So
I think maybe that's true, because if you submit, right, and then they think that, oh, you are very good, so your offer might go, like, even higher,
so
right?
I just didn't want to take a risk. I mean, like, the university reps are right there, and if they say something, I'm taking what
We
they say
should
at face
follow.
value. I'm not gonna, like, be like, no, you guys are wrong. Like, they're the ones who, like, give me my offers and all that. So I was like, fair enough.
So I think for people who are planning to apply to UK, they can just submit the IB score, right?
Honestly, an IB score is more than enough, because in the UK at least, it is grade centered, but they want to see. I mean, they changed the UCAS application now. It's my sister's applying right now, and I'm looking at the questions. It's very different. It's like we had one personal statement, which was just like 4,000 characters, and you just you go through it, and you write your interests, yada yada yada, without any, like, formatting. But they've been given, like, specific questions, so I think in total it does add to the same 4,000 characters for them, but they need to divide it a bit differently. As in, like, I think they have some questions about, like, why they like the course they chose, what have they done outside of class, and something like that. But in principle, it's honestly the same thing that we did, just in question. So
okay.
I don't think you should have to take AP subjects for the UK. Your personal statement, if it's strong, and your IB predicted scores are strong, like, you should be more than okay. And also, it depends. Once you get to a certain point, some courses require an admissions test, and the admissions test will also give you a lot of insight about how well of a candidate you are compared to other people. And yeah, I mean, I was a victim of an admissions test, I'm gonna be honest. I did really bad in the math admissions test. For it was for Imperial and all that. But yeah, I think that stuff is a lot more important than just one or two more APs, which are just going to kind of like jumble up your app. I mean, not to say you don't have to do it. Not to say that like you shouldn't do it,
yeah.
but it's honestly up to you. I just did something based on what I heard from an admission officer, so I was like, I'll trust you.
Yeah. Unless you want to apply to US, maybe, right?
For the US, I did put my APs in. I don't know if that helped or not because I only put the calculus one.
Yeah.
I ended up getting a 4.
We wouldn't know.
I got a 4 in physics, so I didn't really put it in. There's no way of knowing if it worked or not, but I still think for the US, also my IB would have been enough. Like for most people, IB is more than enough for the US.
Right. And let's talk about the timeline, right? How do you plan the timeline for like college essay, EE, AP, and all those stuff? Do you cram everything in year 12 summer, or should they start even earlier than that? Because I remember that you were very busy with the EE during the summer of year 12, between year 12 to year 13.
I would say that in terms of structuring your like priorities, in year 12 you should probably focus on just getting those like test grades up.
Great.
And in year 12 I didn't really look at college essays, and I know I like it kind of depends on the person. I know I have friends who had their college essays written and polished by like end of year 11, start of year 12.
Wow,
and
that's very early.
Those are like they're really like the people who really try hard, and like there's nothing wrong with that. Like it just depends on how you want to do it. But I feel like if you do stuff more recently in year 12, it gives you a chance to talk about more recent things you've done in your essays and your personal statements. Whereas if you just kind of finish it by year 11, year 12, you don't really get the chance to add more. But I did my college essays. I mean, I'll go in order of like how you said it. I did APs in year 12.
AP in year 12.
At the same time as my year 12 mocks. And I started studying for them at the beginning, at maybe like November, December in year 12. And I did my EE in the summer. That's honestly my biggest tip. But my biggest tip would be like to do your EE. Complete it, just like done and dusted in the summer. Like that saved me so much time, because we had like when you come back to school, maybe the first week they asked you to show your EE progress in year 13, and like there were so many people who just like had nothing.
Rushing through it.
And if you have nothing, year 13, like obviously that's when year 13 starts. That's sort of the period where university applications and college essays become more like more important in your life, and you go to like lock in about that stuff.
Right.
But if you finish your EE, you don't get called back for like support sessions and stuff. And I feel like just finishing the EE was such a relief on my shoulders. And I spent most of my summer, I think, if not all my summer, whenever I'd study on just doing the EE. And it ended up being like I got an A at the end. So I think if you, because in the summer you don't really have anything to do, right? So if you just really
you are still quite free during that
exactly.
time.
And if you're free and working on one thing, you can keep going through it, different iterations, different versions. You can nitpick the smallest details, and you still have time to fix that. But whereas if you do it in school, you sort of have to forego maybe the smaller details to submit it and meet like deadlines.
Right.
Yeah, I ended up doing my college essays after that, and maybe August to December, and I sent those out then.
Right. Do you also put your internship or work experience into college essay?
For the UK, yes. For the US, I don't think I had an essay where I talked about work experience. Maybe one, but it was a very surface level question. The question wasn't like something where they wanted you to be like really creative. It was more about like, have you had any work experience? So I think that it must have been just one or two questions, but I don't remember like any like standout essays I had where I actually had to put effort into talking about work experience, because it comes in on like your resume and your apps, like if you submit that with your stuff.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
I didn't feel the need to like
it's
talk
like
about them.
written in there.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your choice of university, right? When you submitted to UCAS, was UCL your first choice?
In all honesty, I had I really wanted to go to Imperial, and I ended up botching the admissions test, so I didn't end up getting in. But at the end, like I said, like I got into UCL, so UCL was more of my second choice.
Right.
And I had Imperial, UCL, King's, Warwick, and I think I maybe did like some extra courses like just to get like the 5 done. But once I got to UCL, I was really excited, and then when I knew that like my admissions test was not where I wanted it to be, I sort of like withdrew the other applications because they were taking time, and I just like firmed UCL and confirmed my space there.
What major did you get the offer from?
I got it for math. The offer was I had to get 776 in my HLs.
776.
And I believe 40 overall.
40.
Which was very
doable.
It was doable, but it was like surprisingly high. Like I have friends like who got offers from Cambridge, Oxford, and their their conditions were way lower. Like,
Oh.
I mean, it makes sense. Oxford also gives it like 1-to-1, whereas like they get one offer for one place. But for UCL, the competition also comes after offers. Like, there's competition to apply to get an offer, and then when you have the offer, there's a lot of competition for it also.
Oh yeah, that is true. Okay, and also, so after this, right, there's no IB for you anymore, and then you have like a long break. What do you do after you graduate from the IB?
So
And then
first,
you have,
obviously,
like, 1 month. Do we have 1 month? 2 months? 2 months. 2 months break before you start university.
3 maybe actually.
Three. Yeah,
Whole
almost
of
3.
because I'm going to university in a couple of days.
Right.
And university actually doesn't start till the end of the month, so maybe all of June, all of July, all of August, maybe 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
So it's been a long summer break. It's really funny.
What did you do during this time? Did you get driving license?
Oh yeah, I did actually.
Right?
I got my driving license in the beginning of the summer, so that was like something I just had to take off because I don't know, like everyone's doing it, so I was like, I should also do it. And then honestly, for the UK, internships are really competitive, right? So I've been just sort of like fixing up for the first half of the summer, I spent on like, learning new things.
Right.
So I did like a couple courses on Coursera or like Forage, which are like job simulations, and they just gave me things to talk about in my resume.
Right.
And so I sort of fixed up my resume for the first half of the summer. And
that's a very good use of the time.
I know, because like also I was a bit stressed out knowing that half these internships, so in the UK at least, you have two. You have a spring week and you have a summer internship.
Right.
Spring week is more like, it's like work experience for like a week where you just go to a company, you understand how it works. It's just a way to get like familiar with the situation. And then the summer internship
and then
really
you need
big.
to apply by yourself, or
Yes, you do yourself.
Okay.
So my thinking behind it was, if I'm going to the UK and spring week is only for first. It's as far as my knowledge goes, only for first years, because the application says like, oh, you should be graduating in 2028, which I am as a first year. But the problem is the summer internships, right? So next year, from like a year from now, basically, the summer internships are actually more targeted towards people in their second or third year in university. The problem is like, I'd spend so much time, like curating my CV and like doing all these courses and stuff to have like a really like competitive CV compared to other students who probably aren't doing as much in summer. But I actually kind of got like I didn't really get that reward back, because for the summer internships at least, as soon as I submit it, like I think some of these companies just toss it out because they see I'm coming in like I'm graduating 2028. So
right,
it wasn't like really
like a long
they
time
don't
to
want to like prioritize
me.
me. They want to prioritize someone like in year 2 or year 3 in university in the UK who really need the experience for like their resume, or like they need the thing for like a job. So maybe next year I'm in a different boat where like the working on my CV and stuff, like when I change it, it'll come handy. But as far as this year is concerned, I haven't been really successful with the summer internships. For spring week,
that's okay, it's still early.
Yeah, I know, but
because I think I remember when I did university, right? I did an internship in year 3, in the third year.
And that's normal. Like,
and
it's
then but the good thing about my university is that they find a list for us, and then we can apply. But that costs like 20 credits. So you can't really screw up.
Okay.
Yeah, you need to do really well, and then if you get A, that like is a heavy A for you. But if you get like C, it's like a very heavy C for you in your like transcript.
See,
so it's
I think that's better, because when you know that it's for year 2, year 3 students in university, like it's a lot easier to sort of like go with that mindset. But as a first year, and like as a first year applying for these internships that are meant for obviously the older kids, it's obviously very competitive. And like I think the biggest thing is like, as I talked to some seniors like in my school, or like people I know who've been in the UK, and they're like, just don't get like disheartened because like it's not meant for you. You know what I mean? Like you're applying for it because you're seeing like if you have that 1% chance, but it's not really meant for our year. So I've sort of changed my focus.
Timing as well.
I've changed my focus to focusing more on the spring week stuff. So as soon as those come, like I've been like setting up my applications, doing the interviews and stuff, preparing for that. So I would say actually that I had this idea that the summer was going to be really boring and stuff, but I spent it semi-productively.
Will you get paid for that?
Not for spring, but I believe in the summer, if you go, you get like a salary based on like an employee salary, but like for those like couple months or 10 weeks. So, but they are paid internships, but they're also unpaid ones. But worst case, I was also looking at like other options, like in case internships don't go well, I was looking at, they have this thing where you can go to like other schools in the UK, maybe like Imperial, Oxford, or
Mm.
Cambridge, and you can do research there for the summer. So
Oh,
if all
okay.
the
That's also
internships
good.
if all the internships sort of reject me or I don't get one, then I look to
Hop
do that.
around.
Yeah, and look to do some research thing to strengthen my app. But yeah.
Yeah, that's also a good plan. Right. And how about packing? Are you ready and set to go? Have you booked the ticket?
Yeah.
Packed your bag and it's all set.
I guess the last like week, as much as I've been trying to focus on like university prep stuff, like maybe reading some course material, blah blah blah. It's been more focused on packing my suitcases because my mom's really stressed out. She's like you don't need to take all this stuff, but I'm telling her like I do need to take all this stuff because like I won't be able to like do my laundry every day there. I have to probably
that's
I need
true.
I need to take enough clothes to do like laundry maybe like once or twice a week. And like so yeah, it's just kind of been like packing my suitcases, packing my bags, figuring out what to take, like because obviously it's like really cold there.
Is
compared
there
to here.
anything special like from Thailand that you need to bring? Like last time, right, for me, many people will pack mama, like instant noodle together.
I'm taking seaweed like nori,
Oh,
like
yeah,
the
nori.
seaweed sheets, because I don't know if I'm gonna find them. And I really like those, so I'm taking some of those. But there's also like stuff that I'm taking like like mementos, like stuff to remind me of the IB.
mementos.
So I'm taking like
yadom,
my mom asked me to take that, but the thing is I've never really been a fan of it, or I've never really used it. But
what else?
I got like this like pen for my birthday. And it has like my name on it, and I wrote all my IB exams with that pen.
Oh,
so I'm
it's your
taking
lucky
that pen.
pen.
I'm taking it's sort of like it means a lot. So I packed that pen in like a pencil case. I'm gonna take that with me to uni and like keep a good streak going, hopefully.
Right. And is there any helpful resource, or is there any place that you always like go in
Aside from
and
upgrade.
besides upgrade, like Reddit or somewhere else? And any link that you actually use?
I actually use Reddit a lot. I mean,
Reddit a lot.
I like when I'm on Reddit at school, my friends kind of make fun of me. They're like, "Oh, like you're such a nerd for that." But I feel like Reddit's a really good place.
Yeah.
Because
they have all
they have
the
communities,
resources.
right? Like they have like kids. There'll be kids on Reddit who are in the same boat as you. People take the exact same classes as you. People who are looking for the exact same like resources. And honestly, it takes maybe you don't even have to like be comfortable with posting something out. Like you don't have to like put a post out. You can just look at something someone's already posted and see the comments. And that's actually how I found like IB Docs and all this. Like
IB
those like
Docs.
websites, which I know our school isn't the biggest fan of, but they actually helped us a lot. So.
Do you also use like Revision Village?
Yeah, I used Revision Village for math for a bit, and then I used Save My Exams.
Save My Exams.
But Save My Exams I used that more this summer. I can't lie, because we did IB HLA, right? So
Right.
They don't have some content that kids in the UK do. So I use Save My Exams more, I think, to do like further math.
Right.
So
I
just
like
did a
Save
few
My
content.
Exam for revision. Like I think they make good
The
notes.
notes, yeah, the
but
notes
the
are a lot better
questions
than
are
the
not
questions.
that
Revision Village
impressive.
questions are really good.
Yeah,
They're really
right.
realistic. But then also like the upgrade packs that you guys made were really helpful because both the math and physics ones they were all like structured. So I remember using those a lot.
Right. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. It's quite a very useful sharing. Yeah, we will post the video and then let's see how many likes do we get.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay, thank you, and let's hope that you can come back and share after you graduate.
For sure.
maybe.
For sure.
Yeah.
After 3 years, I'll be here.
Okay, good.